So you're breeding?
Yeah, this is a little exercise that I took over for a friend who hit hard times. I should have shown you probably at home that I was very fortunate to win an award in the beef industry quite some time back, and it's called the Howard Yelland Award for the Beef Improvements Association, a national award, and there were two people around New England that won this award, and one was David Wright, who was doing these when he died. He'd had hard times and he'd gone broke, mostly through not getting this grazing side of it right. Some of it was trying to stack the numbers with cattle without the soil behind it. I'd love to have David around now to show him what's happening here with the change of management. But these cattle he was having a little belated game with in his hard times and the end of his life. He was looking at trying to get the red Wagyu marbling genetics graded up out of centerpole type cattle to get a poly head on them and a clean coat for the outback Queensland or outback areas,
okay.
Which it hit a bit of a key with me, because that was exactly what I'd been living with for most of my life.
Yeah.
So here's a man having a lot of difficulty financially, had his life shattered off a big old historical place. He's one of the squattocracy of New England, that family. There are many of them around. Most of them are good friends of mine. But because I had this connection with David about this award, I felt it sort of half justified to try and make it work for him.
Yeah, good.
And anyway, we lost David in the middle of it, and I'm still finishing the project off. But we're trying to, how everyone eats grain-fed meat and they want the high-class Wagyu for the marbling.
Mm.
Well, my mind on microbes and fungi and everything else can't fathom the healthiness of lot feeding, so we're trying to get the pasture right, come back here to getting the soil right, the pasture right, and rotating the cattle in here. See this trailer?
Yeah.
Like that, a mobile trailer like that you can tow even with a four-wheel. This thing here will tow it.
Okay.
And that could be going paddock to paddock with some sort of a grain supplement if I wanted to go to that level of feeding that the other people are doing. But I'll never go to it with the antibiotics and the hormones and the rest of the thing that come with that, and the environmental mess it makes. I want my cows fertilising my country, not a yard somewhere, So
does the grain improve the marbling? Is that?
Oh yeah.
It does.
Yeah, you can just stack them in and they don't do anything. It's a bit like nailing our feet to a board like a duck and shoving food down its neck.
So it's not so much the grain; it's the lack of.
It's the lack of exercise, and it is the grain.
Okay.
But we still also haven't. There's not enough of us with our soil starting to look and perform like this. You wouldn't have seen my cows, but they're in a paddock mowing a neighbour's place just down the road.
I did, yeah.
That's the red Wagyu, and they're coming along beautifully. Yeah. They're mud fat out of winter. Everyone's got to adapt this message. That's why I've read so widely. I've been on the biodynamic board because I knew nothing about it for Australia.
Yeah.
I've tried to absorb so much of this stuff, and when I read Sir Albert Howard, his book An Agricultural Testament, there's wonderful information in there from 1935, circa then, and I realise how we've been taken off beam to help other marketing for so long, which has done absolutely nothing for our soils or our health or anything else.
Yeah.
And this whole system is coming back towards clean, but they've even designed this breed of cattle that have got to have all the highly industrial feed to finish the cattle, and that's where the big price is.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'll live long enough or succeed, but I'm very interested in David Wright's last efforts to grow this animal that will finish on the grass.
Yes.
And to do it, we have to get the grass right. And to do that, anybody with half a brain now knows we've got to get the soil right.
Yes, yeah.
Now, they're not bad order for cattle coming out of the winter. You'll see how wild they are in a minute. They went in here yesterday. And they'll bully me for another paddock, and they won't get it till I'm ready to give it to them. I'm the judge of the paddock, not them.
Look at the size of them.
But I do take their advice. If they galloped over here too quickly, I'd have another look at the paddock and say, yes, I think you're right, girls, and we'll throw that gate open and put them back in my place. Come up to the gate here, they'll come over to us. This yellow one I call Foghorn. She comes up and puts her head in the vehicle and shouts at me. This old girl here. Foghorn's this one here with the yellow tag.
Is she the matriarch?
Oh, she'd like to think so, but she's got a bit of competition.
Oh, really?
I'd say that's a bit of competition.
So these are...
They're probably second and third cross, red Wagyu, if I find a purebred one, there's a few purebreds in there, I'll show you.
So when you say second or third...
See M9 just there, she's getting close to pure if she's not pure. There's another yellow one right out the back over the back with the white tags coming forward now.
Yeah.
She's a full-blood red or purebred red Wagyu.
So when you say cross, what are they?
Well, that's the centre pole. Originally centre pole cows. There's no pure centre pole cows left here now. They're originally centre pole cows with red Wagyu genetics over them. And we're keeping that bit of black in through there.
Yeah.
That cow P17 there, I think that's her. She's a descendant of one of my cows from Arizona at Julia Creek, and she's here to let me know how flash all this southern stuff's going. You know that she's a couple of crosses over since that time of good Angus, and the other cows. See that big P4 over there? Her mother was a long line of very good Angus cows that we bought, developed by the Credlin family at Morden. And so as time goes on, we'll process a few of these calves. We eat them ourselves every year, one or two, and when they're grown up, we keep a steer behind out of a line that we like, and that'll be our meat for the year. But the major things that we want to bring forward is that high eating quality, off grass. They've got to do it on grass, and better conformation and muscle than the black Wagyu. We're going to lose out. There's a trade-off point there between the marbling capacity, but then it's got to happen off grass. So that's why we're back trying to keep the grazing side. For most of Queensland, we want these finer coated cattle with polled heads because it's too difficult nowadays to worry about dealing.
Oh, so they naturally don't have horns?
They don't have horns, no.
Ah, that's what you call them, polled
But
heads.
the quicker we go up towards the full bloods, the faster we get back into the horns. See that cow out on the outside over there? She's got horns,
Oh, yeah.
and it's a trade-off and a selection thing all the time. That's what I say. I'm not sure that I'll be around long enough to do it, but if somebody else can, they can carry it on if they want to. But by that time, I'll know if it's working. And when we talk about crossbreeding, there's absolutely no reason these can't be a sort of a half. You have a line of these cows and then a Angus bull over them, and that bull, his progeny, then go to the other Wagyu, the marbling Wagyu. There's all sorts of ways to. If you're not fixated on your result, you can play with it and play with it and play with it.
So, if you are fixated on the result, what is it that they're doing, or think? What's the line of thinking?
Well, the line of thinking here is to end up not needing to feed in a feedlot for a reasonable eating result. The top line eating result that they want for the top thing in Japan, it's always going to be in that feedlot, and unless we can really perfect this mobile feed going around the paddocks.
Okay, yes.
If you had someone producing organic grain then, and you could use their cast off, the gratings that come out of that grain,
Yeah.
to feed animals on, so there wasn't any loss to the other systems. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be a good acceptable product on the good pasture we've just driven around,
Yeah.
which is getting better. That's only 2 years on the journey yet. That's got 10 years to go probably.
Yeah.
Then we can talk about how we fiddle with that last bit, and that last bit's only a small fiddle, and it will be fiddled according to the demand and the price that's there to drive it. But there is a growing market, a hugely growing market. Have you ever visited Vic's Meats in Sydney?
No.
They've got a big retail place I think in the city, but Jude visited their big thing out at Mascot, and she knew immediately when she got there that it was a very different butcher shop. When she saw 3 or 4 of the butcher's cars were big black Mercedes, she said, "This is different." So in she goes, she meets the boys. While she's in there, this guy comes in pushing a trolley with a heap of bloody big eskies, and she said to one of them, what's all this about? "Oh, he's the providor for a wealthy person in Singapore. He's sent down here on a plane every week to fill the eskies for their meat in Singapore." You can imagine the value of that. Now, that guy is not going to quibble over one of these special products that takes him to another level.
Yes.
For all these reasons.
Yes.
And there's got to be the environmental, there's got to be the health, there's got to be the whole story.
Yeah.
I'm way back at the early days, not in a big enough way to make a huge difference to that, but it's easy nowadays to multiply this story if people find the market's there and the demand's there. Look at it, I'll kill that so-and-so if I get out. They don't like him.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, he's got no manners. And that's the Arizona here. She's walked up here to see the bit more Bosinicus look about the keel underneath. She's got the navel in her, the black cow.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, that's just, she's had all sorts of breeds. See, I had 6 breeds in a 3-way cross.
Oh.
And she will have, in her background will be Thule and Baran, all these other cattle we were working with up there. And I want to use that as a cross reference to see how far ahead or behind we are with all this other work we're doing here.
Wow. So has she had a calf?
Oh, she's the granddaughter of one I bought. She's the daughter of a cow that we basically brought down here. And she's had,
she can't
every year she has calves.
Oh, she does.
Yeah,
Okay. So has she got one in here though?
She's got no choice. She's got no choice. There's the big fella walking. He's there, just there. The bull's there, just there. And that's probably her calf, that dark nose one looking underneath.
Oh, I was going to say it would be different colour. Where's the bull in here then?
He's just trying to mount something, walking behind there. See, through the gap there, behind the black cow? He's only a young bull.
So he's not huge then, is he?
Oh no, he's only young. But look at her. She's polled. She's lost it already in that black calf. But look at the growth on that.
Yes.
Look at the growth on him compared to his compatriots here.
Yes.
So that's what I'm checking all the time as a cattleman, how this bright idea is going. Has it got legs? And we've still got work to do.
Yeah, how quickly those horns come back.
Well, it's not just the horns; it's the growth of that calf on the same feed, the same genetics, or not the same genetics, but the same bull genetics.
Yes.
To all these others. The final story is not till he's actually eaten and hanging up to see what the carcass turned out like.